Hey guys, it's Natasha and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about my top 5 least favorite books. Before we get started, please remember that this is a very subjective video and that it's merely based on my experiences with the books that I read. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So the first book is a classic, and I think it was written somewhere in the 1400s, but it's Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. This book is mainly about a couple of journal entries. This man was kind of like a sailor, and in order to publish books, he had to make it believable. And it's a wild book. It's something I read, I think, 4 years ago. But this man, Robinson Crusoe, is from England, and it's in that era where they colonized the countries. So he's off on an adventure and he's, living his life. He's off to find riches and countries and all that for the queen. And then he gets shipwrecked and he is stranded on an island with carnivores. I don't know. And he details every single event in this book. I don't even have a star rating. Mine is -5. I really didn't enjoy this book. There was actually a prescribed book for my English literature class in second year. Yeah, definitely not a book worth picking up. If you want to go sleep, I'm sure you can read this, but just a big no from my side. The second book is from a South African author, and it is also a book that I was highly disappointed in, and it is Afterland by Lauren Beckers. If you have been a long subscriber of this channel and you've watched most of my videos, you would know that this book is a book that I'm very disappointed in. I was expecting so much from this book and ended up getting blah. It's like when you go to a dinner and you expect this whole extravagant meal and all you get is a bland chicken burger. That was basically what this book was for me. I think I gave it 2 stars, but for me it was the blurb that, made it sound interesting, made it sound intriguing, made me want to read this. And from what I got from the blurb is something entirely different what happened in the book. Basically, we follow Cole, and she is trying to protect her son because he is one of the few men who survived like a men apocalypse, or men kind of like a virus where it killed most of the men. It starts with prostate cancer and then it just spreads through. So the women are fine, but the men, they die in like a few weeks. So she is trying to save her son from the government who wants him to do experiments on, I'm assuming, and also her sister who wants to capture her son because she wants to sell his sperm on the black market. And then, according to the blurb, there's a group of neon nuns who are also hunting this boy because they want him. And it's kind of like a salvation purpose. That is why they want him. In the book, that is not what happens. The neon nuns, or whatever they are trying to be, are actually a refuge for Cole and her son Miles. And I was so disappointed in the end because there's this cat and mouse thing happening, but it was very dialed down. So I really didn't enjoy this book. Maybe you have, but this was a big no from my side. The third book is a book that I didn't enjoy due to, I think because of personal experience. I'm not a mother, so whatever happened in this book, I can't relate to it, but it is House Rules by Jodi Picoult. This book follows a boy who is, I think, around 18, and he has Asperger's. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And he's a very difficult child. If you can think of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, he's kind of like that, but only a level higher. And his mother, she's trying her best just to live a normal life with a son with Asperger's and a very rebel teenager on the other side because she has 2 sons. She also sends him on like this tutor things. I don't recall why, but he used to go to this tutor, I think it was for social lessons because the tutor was kind of like a psychologist, or she was studying psychology. And then one day, this tutor is found dead, and everything that happened to her traces back to this boy who has Asperger's. His name's Jacob. And no matter what happens, all the piece of evidence, points to Jacob. If they are in court and he says something, he incriminates himself because he only thinks logical. And this is quite a exhausting thing for his lawyer and for his mother because he takes everything so literal, which I know Jodi Picoult, she writes about books that are eye-openers for society. There's one book that I want to read from her. There's one book of her I want to read is about this woman who is torn between giving her child a heart from the serial killer who killed her husband and her other daughter, because now the daughter is suffering from a heart disease and the only match she can find was from the serial killer. So now she's debating, should she not, that kind of thing. But this book I just didn't relate to. It was not a very enjoyable book for me. The premise of it was very interesting and it was a very open-ended kind of ending. So I was quite frustrated about that as well because I wanted to know, was Jacob going to jail or not? And it was just this, you choose for yourself what you think of this book. But I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars merely because of the reasoning behind, or the reason why this was written, to make people aware of the sickness. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. The 4th book is a book that I really wanted to love and ended up disliking it so much. Every time I see it in the bookshop, I just want to chuck it into the bin. Also, very subjective, but it's just my thoughts. And it is also very hyped on BookTok, Bookstagram, BookTube, I also think. I haven't seen a lot, but I've seen it on those 2 platforms. And it is The Spanish Love Deception. I forgot who wrote it, but I'll have a photo here. Personally, I've come to the conclusion that I'm not a romantic reader. Like, I won't really read romance books unless it has like a hint of fantasy or a hint of supernatural or something, crazy like that. If the plot is only the romance, I will not read it because I will not enjoy it. So honestly, I can't really remember what it is about this book, but it's an enemies to lovers book. And I would say the reason that it put me off was the fact that this book was so long. It was unnecessary long. The plot could have been ironed out in like 300 pages, but the author dragged it out so much that I couldn't take it anymore. I see a lot of people say it's a ripple from The Hating Game. I don't know, I haven't read The Hating Game. So I tried to give a shot at this book and I don't like it. And the last book will probably come as no surprise to anyone who has watched my channel as well. And it is The City of Fallen Angels, by Cassandra Clare. This book had so much potential and it just let me down. I just can't explain how mad I am about this book. Not Spanish Love Deception mad. But this book, really, I was so upset when I read this book. I was actually thinking of rearranging my shelf so that I don't have to look at this thing anymore. After the 3rd book, I was like, okay, maybe, this makes sense that if the Shadowhunters story ends here, I'd be fine with it. But she continued on and there was no plot in this book. None at all. Up until the last, I would say, 80 pages. Every character in this book annoyed me. Clary, Jace, because he doesn't want to speak to her. She doesn't want to speak to him. It's a miscommunication trope on steroids. Isabel, I don't know, she was a bit too much. She was a bit bratty for me in this book. Simon, for me, was like the only cool-headed character in this book. But the rest were just, what was your purpose in here? And then there were characters dragged into this book that really didn't need to be here. And I'm not going to tell you a lot about this book. All I can say about this book is Clary is training to become a shadow hunter. Jace doesn't want to be with her, but he also wants to be with her. Isabel's with Simon, but he's also with Maya, who's a werewolf. And that's basically 80% of the book, is them, Clary and Jace, fighting because he doesn't want to talk to her. And Isabel, Simon, and Maya doing a love triangle thing. And there's a random ancient vampire popping up every now and then. I think I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars and I was being lenient. If you've made it this far into the video, please remember to like the video, comment down below which books you think are overhyped, and yeah, maybe I'm not the only one here. Please remember to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys in a video next week. Bye!